I'll tell you the story of how I lost a contract worth 30 million naira, how I lost almost all the remaining of my life savings to the stock market, how I almost, ended up in depression, and, how I was having suicidal thoughts. I was doing everything I was doing on contract, so to speak, for lack of words. I was because he wanted to employ me many times, but I said no. I wouldn't allow anybody box me. Just call me anytime you need my service, and I'll tell you what I can offer, and I'll get my money and leave. And when next you need me, please call me. But that you make me a 9 to 5 worker for you, no. It's not in my design. God did not design me like that. So please don't box me into what I cannot fit into. So that was how our camaraderie, was built. The plan before was to move outside the country. We're saving all our dime up for that goal, and all of a sudden a child is coming on board, and it means that we had to break the bank. We had to do the things we didn't plan for. So I was in so much dilemma. I was so scared. I was so worried for myself, my wife, and my child, because I was not ready to be a father. Their charges to me, and I made all of that into a compound proposal that I sent to that man. Then I sat back. Mind you, my own business was on hold because I had to tell my wife that, see, I had prayed for this for a very long time, and now that it is here, I wouldn't want any distraction, and I've always wanted to build my own agency. Maybe this is going to be the start of something new. So I sat back. That was late 2022, waiting. Hi guys, you're welcome back to my channel and my podcast. If you are new here, you're welcome to the best podcast on the internet right now. My name is Deon Gandonu. I am called and inspired to help young people find answers to some of life's toughest questions. And I do that by sharing my thoughts, insights, ideas, knowledge, revelations, and also by rubbing minds with you guys on some of the issues, questions, and the challenges we face as young people in our everyday lives. So, welcome back. It's so good. It feels so good to be back here. Trust me. I took 1 week break away from all of this drama. Yeah, and now I feel so refreshed. I feel so energized, and I'm excited. Can I stop saying thank you? I definitely can't stop thanking you guys for all the support and love you've shown me thus far on this journey. Thank you for always coming back here to listen to what I have to say. And thank you for our new subscribers. Thank you for coming into the community. We love you, and trust me, you are in for a ride. So, before I dive into today's conversation, I just want to ask you guys that how are you guys holding, it all together in this country? I mean, those of you that are still in Nigeria, okay? So if you're not in Nigeria, please get out of here. Get out of here. So to all of our friends in the UK, Canada, US, Iceland, and wherever you have jackpot to, you guys will not really understand what we're talking about. Or do you understand? Okay, perhaps you still understand because you still have us here, your friends and your family. But then you can't really understand unless you are living here at the moment. It's crazy. It's crazy. But then thank God for life. Thank God for the opportunity to still be able to strive, to thrive, to hustle, and to bubble. So I just want to say that it takes a lot of courage to still be in Nigeria. It takes a lot of madness, I was listening to the Teju Babyface show, okay, the Teju Babyface podcast. He invited, the popular Daily Rotimi. That's amazing, man. And I was watching their episode the last time, and Sadili said something. He said, it takes someone who is mad, to still remain in Nigeria, and some eyebrows rose. And yeah, if we went further by saying that if indeed you can afford a travel out, you can afford to relocate, you can afford to move yourself, your business, your family out of Nigeria, and you still didn't do it, and you still decided to stay in this country, then you are mad. Yeah, it's an insult, Ravi. Is it an insult? I don't think it's an insult. I think it's a compliment. I think it's a compliment because I think I'm mad too. Because who chooses to stay in Nigeria, especially in times like this? So though sometimes I wish I'd ran away when I had the opportunity to, and I know that I still can't. But I'm just enjoying the madness. I'm enjoying the madness really because it really takes someone with a mad attitude to still remain in a country where you know you are not safe, you cannot guarantee what your money can buy, and you're constantly watching over your own shoulders because you don't know what next can happen. So if you're still in this country, if you still have some ounce of faith in Nigeria, and for some reason you have intentionally decided to stay, not because you have not found the opportunity yet, but you just felt like I need to stay. I still have something to do here, or perhaps maybe this is not the time yet for somebody like me who really wants to, who feels like leaving, but feels like it's not yet the appointed time. It's not yet the appointed time. So I want to say that you are a real man. I'm not saying the people that have run out of the no, sorry, I'm not saying the people who has left are not real, but then that you could still stay even though you could leave means that you are doing something, and I pray that that thing would be worth it and would pay off. So that's going to be the basis of my conversation and my edition and my topic today, because I really want to speak to those people who are in the country. So if you are not in the country, definitely you can still hang around to the end, because definitely you might get something. It not get my drop for you as well. But if you are living in Nigeria, if you're a young person building in Nigeria, creating in Nigeria, doing business in Nigeria, settling down in Nigeria, raising a child in Nigeria, building family in Nigeria, getting married in Nigeria, and for some reason best known to you, I made this video for you. I made this video for us because we are going through a lot. Obviously, we are going through a lot, and the things we are going through, sometimes can can tempt us to want to make decisions, the decisions that we didn't want to make. You get what I'm trying to say? So, for many people who I know people who didn't plan to leave the country anytime soon, but with the way things are going, they've decided to leave. See, they've changed their vision and say, come on, maybe. So, and if you're outside the country, please pray for us. Pray that things get better, and don't just run away. Please come back and invest those beautiful things you are learning from the first and second world countries back here, because we look forward to your contribution. And I believe many of my friends who have traveled are not really the jackpot people. No, we are not really the jackpot people. So like I said earlier, this conversation is for people who are here, people who Nigeria is showing shaggy. And I can say that because Nigeria is showing me a lot. I'm going through a lot is going through me. And in the past 2 weeks, I've had a lot of friends come into my DM, with a lot of complaints, some with, with questions. How do we, do this? I need help. I'm going through this. I'm going through that. I need money. I am broke. I this see it's that is the rhythm of the street at the moment. Everybody in Nigeria, is going through something that is not palatable. We're just trying to face it and to also hold on, to the little faith we have left. So these these conversations I've been having, especially with the people that are, that are breaking down, that are, frustrated, that are almost, I wouldn't say depressed, but they are almost heading for depression. Though I've been able to try in my own way to encourage them, to show them that, see, there's hope for us. We just have to keep, hanging on and moving on and, holding on. But at the same time, I felt like I need to make a video. I need to make a video and speak on this topic. Speak on this topic so that for all of us who are in that position, we might maybe find some encouragement, motivation, or enthusiasm to still continue to carry on. And if there's any one of us who is at the verge of breaking down and who is at the verge of, I hope there's nobody like that now who is at the verge of quitting or ending it all, please hold on. I'm about to share my story. and I hope it helps you. So the title of this episode is titled or is called Grow Through the Struggles. Grow through the struggles. And in a bit, I'll tell you what inspired this topic and how this topic became a part of my life. So I'll give you the story now. But at the end of the day, I want someone who is at the verge of giving up to be encouraged, to feel that energy again. And that is why I'm making this. So it's going to be a heart to heart conversation. It's going to be me being vulnerable so that perhaps I can help you, you know, I can help you do better. So I'll tell you the story of how I lost a contract towards 30 million naira, how I lost almost all the remaining of my life savings to the stock market, how I almost, ended up in depression, and, how I was having suicidal thoughts. All of this happened to me between the year 2022. Oh, come on. Why is this water spilling now? Hello? All of this happened sorry, guys. I have to turn off that water. It's getting me crazy. A few moments later. Yeah, sorry I flinched. So I think I lost where I was, but I'm just trying to share, what happened to me, what I can consider one of the toughest times in my life. And this thing happened between the year 2022, late 2022, and up to late 2023. It was about 1 year of drama in my life. So you see, you can see that I'm taking this very slow. I'm not trying to rush it. That is why I'm using this camera I'm using, because the other one has a time limit. So I can speak for as long as I want. And I just hope that at the end of this, somebody feels encouraged. So I'll give you a backstory of what happened. All of this is going to be, centered around how I lost the 30 million naira contract. So I'll start from the beginning. In 2018, if you guys saw the video of how to get people to fund your dream, I'll link it somewhere here. I told you guys my life story, how I built this multi-million naira business that I am, heading now, out of nothing, by the grace of God, actually. And so if you have watched that video, this story will make a lot more sense. But if not, maybe you could watch it after, or you could pause and go watch it and come back. But don't worry. You could just watch this one, then later you go catch up with what you might have missed. So after I finished in Moshood Abiola Polytechnic, after my ND, after the posts, after the 2 years internship, after my national diploma, I decided to, after listening to my mother, my beautiful mother, thank you. Because after my ND, I already fell out of love with engineering. I knew engineering was not going to be, a body for me. So I wanted to strictly focus on the media sphere. But my mom was like, you started this thing, just finish it, for crying out loud. It's just 2 years now. So I decided to honor our word. And because I also wanted to penetrate into the Lagos market, because I started all my brand, my business, my photography in Ogun State, in the beautiful city of Abeokuta. But, I felt like if you really want to blow, come to where the competition is high. That is Lagos. So I packed my bags and baggages and came to Lagos. So I got to Lagos 2017, stroke 2018. That was my first year during my HND program. Then one fateful day, I got this call from a very old friend. I'll call him a old senior colleague. God bless you, sir. Adeyemo Timothy. He's not in the UK. He's one of the people I was talking about. He has left us to our troubles. He's not in the UK with his beautiful wife. Don't worry, guys. Maybe I'll join you guys someday. So he called me one fateful day and said, Brother, because he was my president while I was in Mapoli. I told you how all of this started in the campus fellowship. And so he used to be one of the people that, experienced firsthand my raw creative talents, those days while I was still creating things on mobile phones and all of that. So, of course, we are still friends. So he kept tabs with me and was already, following my process and my growth. So he saw that I was already doing better. Then one day he just called me and said, somebody's going to call you. I recommended you for a role and I hope it falls through. Or I hope it works anyway. So I thanked him. Then I sat back. Not quite long, I got a message on my WhatsApp. And I checked the number. It was an international number. I was like, wow, okay, Satimo. Then we jumped on the call. I figured out that the person speaking to me from the other end of the phone was speaking from Zurich, Switzerland. And I was like, wow, I don't cash him. I think that was that was not my first international client. So we got talking. He didn't even ask for my CV because, the height of the recommendation was strong. So he didn't need to ask for my CV. So he just said, so person recommended you and this is what I want you to do. I have a fintech in Nigeria. I'm in their need of a creative lead and would you be willing to take the job? Then I said, let's hear what you have to offer. What is the job description? Then he gave me the breakdown of the job description, which looked very, very nice. But there were some clauses that would, negate or affect me because the role required that I come to the office at least 3 to 4 times a week, and would require me to work remotely on weekends, including Sundays. Then I got into talks and made my own offer that how about we limit the office presence to once or twice a week because it's a creative role. I can work from anywhere. So why do I have to come to the office, almost every day in the week? Then I pitched that and I also pitched for an increment in the salary because the salary wasn't sounding good. But I guess of course, from our conversation, it sensed I'm still an undergraduate. So it felt like what it was doing, was a favor to me. But, I was already a big fish in the industry. Even though I'm not popularly known, I already know my onion. So nobody could give me anything lesser than what I deserved. So I gave him my own offer. So it didn't sit well with both of us. And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to find somebody else. And I said, good. That is beautiful. Sometimes he who dies in a fight will never live to tell the story. But he who lives a fight will live to fight another day. Or lives to fight another day. So then that was it. It was I thanked him for the opportunity to at least be interviewed for the role. Then I, continued with my life. Now fast forward to 2020. I had finished school at the time. I'd just gotten married to the love of my life. Joe, we're still because of what we're building, because at the time we're planning on, relocating to the UK because my wife is a nurse. So the plan was that we're not going to get married. We're not going to get another apartment because we had to move into my hostel room. My hostel room was a 2-bedroom flat at the time, and I was sharing the house with my roommate at the time. So it's a 3-bedroom flat. I took 2 rooms while my roommate at the time, stays in the master's bedroom, but we share the parlor and the kitchen. But we all have every other things, private to ourselves. So the plan was to stay there and, work things out, have her finish our exams, save up for all we would need, for our transition, and then, travel when the time comes. But something happened that disrupted our plan. But that's not a talk for this day, for another day. So we just newly got married and we're just, starting up our lives. When this man called again, this time around, He didn't just call. No, 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 no. Yes, I missed something. Something disrupted our life that I said was going to be saved for another day. Let me just tell you guys. So, of course, my wife is a nurse. So the plan was we're not going to get pregnant that early. At least for 1 year, we're not going to get pregnant until we're going to have a child in the UK. You know, those American and UK dream. But something happened 6 months down into our marriage. We got pregnant. My wife got pregnant. And I was like, how? Paolo Shishe? That day I was down. It was on our way to church. She told me. Or while we were about leaving for church, she told me. And I broke down. I was like, ha, utikpami. Utikpami. So that was how we broke the bank, moved from that space, got our own space because I didn't want to, do that life transition with a newborn. So I said, okay, let's wait. Let's have our child. When she's grown, then we'll continue with our travel abroad dream. So that was what forced us to get our own space and move into our own apartment. Then we're still freshly in our new apartment. We're not even up to a month yet when this man called. And he said, hey, Daniel, how you doing? I said, I'm good. How are you too? How is your business and all of that? He said, fine. Then he said, I need your help. And I said, okay. He said, I need you to recommend a branding, a media and advertising agency, or perhaps a branding agency that will be able to help me do a job. And I was like, okay, what is the job? He said, okay. Then he gave me the breakdown of the job. It was a branding job. It was a pharmaceutical company's rebrand, and they needed to do some product design and some other things. So then I told him that you are speaking to the right person. He was like, are you serious? You are only a content creator now. Do you know about branding? I said, test me. Then he said, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'll send one of the samples of the products we want to rebrand. Don't even think of rebranding now. Just replicate that same product in the next 24 hours. Then I was like, okay. Then I took the product and I did it in the next 30 minutes and I sent it back to him. And I was like, wow, let's discuss your fee. Then we got into the conversation. We spoke and I banged some. That was the biggest branding job I've ever done. Even up till now. I don't think I've done any job that paid me that much. I think I got about $500,000. No, to be honest, I got $500,000 to do that rebranding job. So, and I did some few product designs or packaging redesigns for them. And that was how we became paddies. And it was like, this guy, a good guy. He used to call me bad guy. So that was how we started. So after I did that for him, of course, it was in Switzerland at the time. So he sent a very beautiful feedback that he loved my work and all of that. And I was, fly. I was feeling fly. I was, so proud. I could even show you guys I have one of the brochures that I designed for them, when they were distributing their products around Nigeria. And that was how our friendship began. I'm going somewhere. I'm not trying to rush because when I started, I said I wanted to encourage people that might be going through a lot. And that is why I'm taking my time to break down the story so that you get every bit of it. So that was how we reestablished our relationship, and one job started. That job led to another, and eventually even that fintech job that he did not give me that time, he gave me this time. Simple thank you to give it to me. If you are watching this, I don't want to mention your name. This is no harm. I'm just trying to revisit our camaraderie. Such a great man. So he's a good friend anyway. So, and that was how we became work buddies. One job led to the other. I started doing more for him. I even had to employ some other friends who were doing a lot of jobs for them. And then it got to a point, their business, the fintech, hit rock bottom. He started having issues. I was not his staff, okay? I was doing everything I was doing on contracts, so to speak, for lack of words. Because he wanted to employ me many times, but I said no. I wouldn't allow anybody box me. Just call me anytime you need my service, and I'll tell you what I can offer, and I'll get my money and leave. And when next you need me, please call me. But that you make me a 9-to-5 worker for you, no. It's not in my design. God did not design me like that. So please don't box me into what I cannot fit into. So that was how our camaraderie, was built. So if he came to the country, sometimes I even did photography services. Anything he needed, he would just call me and I would just deliver. So it would every time he would just say bad guy. Only you photographer, only you cinematographer, only you content creator, only you brand. I say, okay, what's a man go do? You with this rich, you don't know what we do with the face for Nigeria now. So now every road enter market, I beg. So then, as I was saying, at a point, his business hit rock bottom. He was having a lot of issues with his clients. He was having clients, no, not clients, but his employees. Some fraud cases. Some employee, it was a lot of crazy stories. Then he called me and said, "Daniel Alpha, I've worked with you for a very long time. I know who you are. You're a man of your words. You're creative. You have integrity. You're hardworking. Would you be willing to, manage this brand for me? Just come in and do all these things that because I told him before that perhaps maybe it would. I had a few ideas that if he wanted to listen to me, I could, sell some of my ideas to him. And one day, eventually jumped on a call with me. And what is this signal? I might have to end this call. I might have to stop this video and we continue. I think my camera is overheating. Okay. So, guys, I'll be right back. All right, guys, I'm back. Sorry, I had to take a moment off. I also took the opportunity to attend to one or two things. So I didn't even know it's already this late. I checked my time and I saw 9:30 p.m. and I was like, whoa. According to this African proverb, the Yoruba proverb really, that would say that sometimes you want to talk, but there's no time. And sometimes you have time, but there will not be a talk, there will not be talk. So today I have time and I have talk. And I know how important these conversations can be to young people, to young dreamers. Especially while I was speaking to some of my friends this past week, as I said, many of them were sounding like, the world was falling on them. And when I compared, even some of the things they were sharing with me, compared to this story I'm telling you guys, I just couldn't I just had to absorb what their stories and see things from their standpoint. But most of the things some of them shared with me were not even up to what I felt in this period of my life. And as I was saying, this story I'm saying might sound sweet. Of course, I'm making it sound a lot interesting. I'm making it sound, I'm adding the storytelling vibe and that non-boring element to it. But I must tell you that these periods were one of the toughest periods of my life. It was one of the toughest periods of my life. I wasn't doing that as a single man. I was married. I had a toddler. No. My wife was pregnant. My wife was pregnant when all of this happened to me. So, navigating, I told you guys that I was not expecting a baby. So I had still not come out of that trauma. I was still in the shock that I'm not ready to have a child now. Now my wife is pregnant. Now we had to disrupt the plan. The plan before was to move outside the country. We're saving all our dime up for that goal. And all of a sudden, a child is coming on board. And it means that we have to break the bank. We have to do the things we didn't plan for. So I was in so much dilemma. I was so scared. I was so worried for myself, my wife, and my child. Because I was not ready to be a father. So this story is a story that I've not really shared in this context before. So some of my circle members, if you are listening to this for the first time, I'm sure that you would not know that. But you didn't tell us how, you didn't tell us it was this deep. I tell you, it was deeper. It was deeper. So as I was saying, to, cut the long story short, the man, my good friend, my good Swiss friend, told me that, okay, come and solve this problem. I know you are this bright, intelligent, hardworking, and integrity-filled guy. So I know if you come on board, You're going to help me navigate all these roadblocks and you help me solve the problem. So I was like, okay. So, and at the time, I was still I was still a freelancer. Okay, I was still boarding. I was a fresh graduate, though I already had or owned my professional spaces and skills, but I still didn't have enough experience and courage to start a proper agency for myself. So I was still doing a little here, a little there, servicing this, doing here, doing photography, doing branding, doing consultation, and doing cinematography, and just trying to buy time for myself and learn the ropes. And so when he gave me that opportunity, I felt like, finally, thank you, Lord. This is what I've been waiting for. Not just because of the money that was involved, but because of the experience, the portfolio that will help me build. So then I said that, okay, what is your budget? Now that is where the real story is going to unfold. I asked him that, what is your budget? Okay, you say you want me to come on board and take excuse me, and take directive of things and change the trajectory of things. Now, this is going to cost you a lot because because I've been in this business for about 5 years, even before you. I think even 3 years before he even met me in 2018. So 3 years prior to 2018 plus another 5 years. It was an expert in the field. He had worked with many people at different levels. He had laid off many people. He had to lay off people, re-employ people because he was operating the company from Switzerland. He was paying people here in Nigeria to get it done. So when he hit that roadblock, he didn't have a choice but to travel down here all by himself. So he decided to come and live in Nigeria. He's a Nigerian, but I think he has been outside the country for a very long time. So he had to come back here to monitor and facilitate the business himself. So thank you. So he already knew what he wanted. So I told him that, see, this is going to cost you a lot. So before we start getting into serious talks, I want you to tell me what your budget for all of this is going to be. Then he told me 30 million naira. He said, whatsoever I want to do, even if I'm going to go to God to bring that strategy, it should not be more than 30 million naira. It can be less, but it should not be more than 30 million naira. Then I was like, okay, we can work with that. And hearing 30 million naira for somebody in my shoes was a lot of money. I've never come across such a money in my entire life. I don't want to say the highest I've handled. I've handled some millions, but I've never ever handled even up to 5 million at a time. So it looks like a very, very big opportunity that came with its fears. Of course, it came with its fears because this is somebody I've worked with for a very long time. I would just prefer to be, the once in a while, contractor with him than come and, take a job that I am not so experienced in and mess up, and squander that relationship. So I was careful. So in order to be sure that we are both on the same page and that we are showing the exact same commitment, something I learned early was brand strategy. Because for all these people I do brand strategy for, I do branding for, I started, playing brand strategy roles too, which helped me, worked better for them. So I said, sir, the first way to go is not this money. Just keep this money on one side of the table. Let's talk strategy. I'm going to come up with a strategy that would show you the possibilities of what you'll get working with me. And I will also keep my own mind too in check so that while I'm working with you, I have a roadmap, I have a plan, and we are both, checkmating our plans along the journey. And he said, okay. And one of the ways you know if a client is willing to give you such a job is if they accept to pay for a strategy. So I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to come up with a strategy for you in the next, I think, 4 weeks or thereabouts. He said he wanted it faster. There was that pressure. He said he wanted it faster, that he cannot, blah, blah, blah. That time, there were some CBN regulations going on, affecting him back and forth. So and he didn't want to lose his customer base. And so he said we needed to push fast. So the pressure was so much on me, and I told you that I'd not really done that before, so I was willing to take my time, but it was amounting so much pressure on me. So I said, okay, I will deliver this strategy in 3 weeks. Then he said 2 weeks. I said 3 weeks. Then he said 2 weeks, and I said okay. So then I told him I was going to charge an X amount of money. It was hundreds of thousands of dollars to come up with a strategy. Even if I had known, I should have charged in millions, because for somebody who was willing to execute a strategy for 30 million, it should be able to pay. That was willing for me to come and take over the ends of the affairs of his company for that price should be able to pay millions. But I was still very careful, and I was also banking on relationship that I don't want this man to think that I'm all about the money. So I just told him to pay a few hundreds of thousands of naira for the strategy, which he conveniently paid, and we set in motion. So with all the pressure that was coming, there was 30 million naira on the table. He had paid for strategy. I had to create time for myself. So I cut off all the things I naturally do. I personally do my branding. I put it on hold. My photography, my events, my weddings. Anybody that was calling me at that time was getting a no, or was getting a sorry, I'm already booked. Sorry, I'm fully booked. Not really because I was fully booked, but because I wanted to give that job my best. I wanted to prove to that man that he was not making a mistake, for calling me to come and do that for him. And from the experiences I've gotten from working with, MSMEs and other brands in the past, I was so confident that I was going to do this. Then, while I was preparing the strategy, I reached out. I put words out on my status to everybody I know. My assistant, Yomi, at the time, banked on our relationship. I started building a team because, the job will require us to rebuild websites, both web pages, app applications, banking. It was a banking company, so we had a lot to do. So I put words out. I was recruiting people. I was getting over 50 mails or 100 mails a day in my mail, because many people were applying for these roles. I was advertising, and I was building, while I was reviewing, I was doing the job of, while I was working on the strategy, I was also doing the job of playing the role of a recruiter, thanks to Yomi, because she played a very vital role at that time in my life. She was the one who helped me, manage all of that. So I'd already set up teams. There were teams of web developers, front-end developers, back-end developers, content creators, product designers, UI, UX. In fact, I'd already built that awesome structure. Then 2 weeks later, I finished the strategy and I sent it to him. And he looked at it. Though he had a few clauses, he had a few, reviews, but he approved anyway. And all the people I'd reached out to, because I had to section every team I wanted to work to into groups, a group of product designers, web developers, blah 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 blah. Then I got the budget and the fee for each one of those groups. I had their financial, reps send their charges to me, and I made all of that into a compound proposal that I sent to that man. Then I sat back. Mind you, my own business was on hold, because I had to tell my wife that, see, I had prayed for this for a very long time, and now that it is here, I wouldn't want any distraction, and I've always wanted to build my own agency. Maybe this is going to be the start of something new. So I sat back. That was late 2022, waiting. Then he told me that they would get back to me. At that time, my wife was writing her exams, preparing for her nursing UK registration. At the time, she has even been registered, and she had done some examinations counting towards registration, but she still needed to do more, and we needed money. And I just started pumping money into all of that. In fact, I took some loans. I was so crazy. I was so stupid. Sorry, I took some loans. I took some bank loans. FCMB. I took FCMB loan. I took First Bank loan. I even took some of this money lending app loans. I'm saying all of this because I already told you that I'm going to be. It's a vulnerable conversation, so that you would know that what you're going through It's not peculiar to you. We are all going through all of these things, but at different levels. So while I was going through all of that, I was already married. So that even makes it easier for some of you that are not married yet, and you're still to show you that, see, you still have enough time. You still have enough time. So I'd incurred many debts because I believed that this was not going to fail. Why did I believe this was not going to fail? This is a man that had made millions working with in a period of about 2 years, between 2020 and 2022. I'd done a lot of things for him. I'd made a lot of money. I've employed many people. I've done a lot of things for myself. So there was no way. And you can, if you heard the story from the beginning, you saw how our relationship was built. To trust, to him flying into the country anytime and calling me. So we're already buddies. We're already cool. So I didn't even suspect this was going to fail for anything. So in my head, I already had 30 million naira in my account, besides the money I'd been paid for strategy. I'd had some hundreds of thousands naira sitting in my account, which was non-refundable. Though the terms of the strategy I specified that it is either I execute the strategy for them, and they're also free to execute the strategy in-house or hire another agency to do it for them. So, but of course, nobody will be able to interpret my ideas as much as I would. So I was sure I was going to get a job. Then weeks became months. So at that time, I think that was late 2022. The plan was that if we did everything we needed to do, by first quarter 2023, we should be on the next available flight to the UK. But because of that job, I had to change my plan, because we're supposed to we're fast-tracking everything. My wife too was busy because of our work. She didn't really have time to prepare for exams. So she was just trying. She would fail some exams by just some margins. And I was just putting the pressure on her that, babe, don't worry. Don't worry, money will come. You and Peter would just go, and you and the baby would just go, and I'll just sit here and later join you guys when I must have finished executing this project. So in the long run, when I didn't hear anything from the man until January the next year or February thereabout, I had to put a message through. That was when I got the shocker of my life. Okay, I didn't get the shocker. I didn't even get any shocker. He just told me that they were going through some, though they were not oblivious to me. I knew those things he was talking about because those were the problems he was trying to solve. But it wasn't carrying me along. I was just there waiting for a response, feeding on all the money I had left, and I was not making any more money because I had closed every other channel and opened a portal just for his business. January, February, March. Then I started putting pressure on him that, sir, what is happening? What is this? Because he was aware every time I was going to the immigration office to make my passports, my daughter's passport, my wife's passport. At that time, I'd had my daughter, and all of that. I was already putting the bills and all of those things. So it was crazy. So I had to reach out that, sir, what's going on? He said he would get back to me. He would get back to me. He even had to fly back to his country. I think he was having some financial distance. So he had to fly back, and I was like, God. So I wouldn't say it was his fault. It wasn't really his fault. I'll just say that he wasn't prepared for what he was asking for. So he had not done some homework before he reached out to me. So I just made up my mind that this was not going to work because it was taking too long. Then I had to move on. But before I had to move on, I was depressed. I felt so stupid. I felt worse of a person. I felt like, how could you be so stupid? How could you put all your eggs in one man's basket? I felt very, very bad. I hated myself. And for the fact that I've dragged my wife and a newborn baby into my mess. It was crazy, fam. At the point I had to, thank God for good circle of friends. I had to reach out to my friends that, guys, I'm broke. Even some of my friends were making jokes of me that, Daniel, come off it. How would you be broke? I said, I'm broke. Some of my friends had to loan me money. So, to all of my friends that's been coming to me saying that they are in debt, they needed loan there. See, I was there. I've been there. But now, cause the tables have turned, even though I'm not all settled, all rich, but the narratives has changed. So I went offline, you know, I went offline for another 6 months, for about 6 months. I wasn't talking to anybody. I disconnected myself from everything. The only thing I would do is check my notifications, check my inboxes if there was any job, anybody reaching out to me for a job. Then luckily some jobs started coming in. I started doing some wedding shoots. But I was still offline. Then so that's happened till my next birthday. Then I found some courage. Okay, that was before my next birthday. Then from the jobs I'd taken, that was going to be the next stupid mistake I made. While I was approaching my next birthday, which was my 30th birthday, I was already bouncing back. I was already making some money back. Then I felt like, since this thing failed, let me build a proper structure. So I decided to get my own office and do things professionally the way I've always wanted to do it. Then, but okay, I'd gotten the space, I'd done all the paperwork, but they were not collecting money from me, and I was like, what is happening? So I felt sick throughout those periods. I was calling, I had to remove my wisdom tooth. Many things happened to me at the time, and I was trying to if things are failing around me, why should trying to build a structure around my business fail? Then I got angry when the manager of the space was not picking my calls again, and I took all the money and I poured it into Forex. All the money I had left, even my wife's money was there. That was the money that was intended for me to secure my office space. So I poured everything into Forex. And lo and behold, the amateur me, I lost because I became garrulous. I was making some radical decisions because I wanted to make all my losses back from where I had not invested. So guys, I was depressed. I said I was almost running into depression, but I remembered that I was depressed because there was one day I woke up on the side of my bed and I sat down and I was crying. And my wife walked up to me, placed my head on her chest and said, "Babe, everything is going to be fine." Then I busted into tears and I told her that, "Babe, do you know I'm having suicidal thoughts?" And she was like, "Suicidal thoughts?" Over my dead body. She prayed, she did everything, and thank God I'm still alive. Thank God I was able to scale through. Thank God what I went through was powerful enough to take me, but God, was on my side. So what's the essence of all of this story? What's the essence of all these, things I'm saying? I'm saying that it will pass. No matter what we are going through, no matter how bad the economy is treating us, no matter how worse our leaders are treating us, no matter how bad Nigeria is looking, no matter how bleak the future of Nigeria is looking, for us, for our families, and for our children, I must tell you that we will overcome. But we must stay alive to overcome. We must keep a positive mindset to overcome. We must not stop building to overcome. We must not, give in to loss. We must not allow our mistakes or our predicaments to keep us down if we must overcome. And I leave you with the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 3. So that I wouldn't miss any words. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. It went further to say, a time to die, a time to be born, a time to laugh, a time to cry, a time to embrace, a time to refrain from embracement. I must tell you that all these things you are going through is a season. But in this season, don't despise the place of building. Build, especially now that it is difficult to build. Grow through the struggles. That was the word I got from God in my own downtime. God said, see, it is in this same time, I told you I was offline. I went offline like never to come back again. But God said, see, it is in this trouble, it is in this distress that you are going to go back and rebuild and become all what I want you to become. How about today? How about today? So, guys, I hope my story made a little bit of sense to you. If it doesn't make any sense, you might want to watch it over again. I might have said it in a very, very interesting way, but trust me, it wasn't interesting. I had bills to pay. I had family and friends depending on me. I had siblings. I had parents. I had a lot of things. I even had friends that were dependent on me. It was a very, very bad time for me. But thank God I didn't give up. Thank God I didn't allow what was happening around me to dictate my future. And here I am today, building, still making the millions back. I'm already working on, building something in the UK. Even though I'm not going to be moving to the UK, I'm going to be building an extension of my brand in the UK. You guys should watch out for it. It's going to be big and massive. That is the things that happen to people that don't give up. So while you are going through your hard time, don't despise the place of building quality friendships, relationships, developing yourself, getting skills. And one day, all of those things you are going through will only be a story and an experience to what you're becoming. Until I see you next time. This is a very, very long video and it was intentional. But there's no way I'll do this. I know, I didn't want to rush it. That was why I took my time. And I hope you found value. So until I see you next time, don't stop doing everything you want they need. And don't forget to like this video. Share it with any amazing young person you know. Any young person that is depressed, that is going through a lot, share it with them. And don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for all the support. I love you. Bye.